Welcome to the Social Hotelier Show. I'm your host, Sam-Erik, and today we explore the intersection of emotion, light, and design, how the spaces around us influence the way we feel, think, and connect. My guest is Maiju Koskela, an acclaimed interior architect and spatial designer with Studio Puisto Architects, known for her ability to translate emotions into physical experience. Maiju's work focuses on the subtle interplay of light, shadow, and material, crafting spaces that are not only functional, but deeply human and sensorial. Her design philosophy challenges traditional architectural thinking by placing human experience at the center of every concept. Whether through hospitality spaces, cultural environment, or public installations, Maiju's approach bridges art and architecture, creating atmosphere that resonates far beyond aesthetics. Maiju, it's a pleasure having you on the show. Welcome.
Thank you, Sam-Erik. It's a pleasure to be here.
Your work beautifully explores how light, material, and emotion shape the way people experience space. Before we dive into your design philosophy, I'd love for our audience to understand the person behind the work. So could you take us through your journey, how you found your way into interior architecture and spatial design, and what experience have most influenced the way you think about creating spaces today?
Well, I kind of grew up into this world. My mom is an interior designer. So I spent a lot of my childhood tagging along those site visits and photo shoots. So kind of I was surrounded by beautiful spaces and materials from early on. So design just felt really natural to me. And those experiences definitely shaped how I see spaces today, not just in terms of how they look, but how they make you feel and how people live within them. And then during my studies, I was really lucky to get a job at one of Finland's most well-known design studios. And there I got to work really broadly from architecture to the smallest interior details. So I think that experience shaped me into more of a spatial designer rather than just an interior architect. So it feels very natural for me work here at Studio Puisto alongside our architects. It's the way of thinking and collaborating that has always felt like home to me.
Very good. You describe spatial design and as shaping how people feel within an environment. How do you begin translating emotion into physical form?
For me, space is all about scale, form, material, and light. So those are the elements we use to shape how a place feels. And with them, we can build almost any kind of atmosphere. For example, a sense of mystery or excitement through darker materials and carefully consider low lighting. Or then we can create a very clear, intuitive space through open layouts and bright tones where people just naturally know how to move and act. So it's all about translating emotions into those physical elements so that the space communicates without words.
So you mentioned that light and shadow seem central to your work. How do you use them to create rhythm or tension within the space?
Well, when designing a new building, we actually have the chance to plan how daylight will move through the spaces. And in that way, we can shape the rhythm of the day. For example, you might want the morning sun to reach the breakfast area, so people naturally wake up with the morning light. And so that will also help our internal clock, also called circadian rhythm. But in general, the sense of rhythm, Huh. And in general, the sense of rhythm or tension in a space often comes from being intentional about where light is present and where it isn't. So light should only appear where it's needed, because it really is the balance between light and shadow that brings a space to life.
Okay. In your view, what makes a space truly come alive beyond its function or form? You may talk about the light and shadow, but anything else you like to emphasize?
Well, beyond that, the light and shadow, that what is crucial for me. But so a space truly comes alive through the people who use it, how they feel there, how they move, how they interact with the surroundings. So I'm always curious to see whether people experience the space the way I imagined when designing it, or in a completely unexpected ways. Sometimes it's also about how the space allows to come forward, like, for example, how it gives room for art, and whether a piece really comes to life within it.
Okay.
So I would continue that kind of a space comes alive when it invites something more than just use. It invites presence and emotion and interpretation.
Very good. So how do materials speak to you when designing? Do you guide the story or do you shape the narrative around them?
It really goes both ways, actually. Often materials come in to support the concept, to complement and deepen it. Sometimes material gives a subtle hint or feeling, like the richness of northern autumn colors, or the delicate frost, or the first snow settling on tundra vegetation. So those kind of associations help shape the atmosphere and bring a quiet poetry to the space. But we've also built strong concepts the other way around, by bringing in an authentic material into a place where it really doesn't belong. So that contrast can create a really powerful story. For example, when we designed the Kyrö Distillery sauna bar, we brought the atmosphere of a traditional Ostrobothnian granary right in the middle of Helsinki. So that use of materiality, that use of material instantly grounded the space and gave it a very distinct character and sense of place.
Yes, for those of you who are listening to this podcast and you're not familiar with Helsinki, it's really a worthwhile place to visit because it's right central downtown of Helsinki, this amazing sauna bar. And then you have a chance to have your sauna bath while you're visiting that place. So it's, I had a pleasure of visiting it now during the last winter, and it was really a great experience. And I can really relate to what you're saying about how you're using sort of contrasting materials to make the place function. So, that's very interesting. Spatial design often crosses boundary from architecture to art and even digital space. Where do you see the most exciting intersections happening now?
That is such an interesting question, actually. Because the boundaries between disciplines are getting more and more fluid. But I think that the most exciting intersection are happening where physical space meets digital experience. Not necessarily in a high-tech way, but in how digital tools can extend our sensory understanding of space. For example, we can now stimulate light, materiality, and human movement in a really emotional way, even before a space is built. At the same time, I also find it fascinating when architecture meets art, when an installation, texture, or soundscape become part of how a space is experienced. So those collaborations open up completely new ways to think atmosphere and storytelling in design.
When collaborating with architects, how do you protect the emotional essence of your design within the technical framework of your project?
Well, here at Studio Puisto, we're lucky in that sense that all of us, both architects and interior architects, speak the same language. So collaboration with architects is usually very smooth and aligned in terms of visions and values. The real challenge often comes coordinating technical systems, especially HVAC. So that's probably one of the trickiest parts of any project. So these systems are, of course, essential for the function of the space. But if not carefully integrated, they can easily disrupt the atmosphere we are trying to create. So I always try to either hide the technical elements within the architecture, so they almost disappear, or adapt them in a way that they emotionally suit the space. So the goal is make sure that they don't draw any unnecessary attention or break the mood. It's about protecting the feeling of the space, even when the technical demands are complex.
Okay. What has changed in your view the most in how people experience space over the years, and what has remained timeless?
You know, sometimes I feel like nothing has changed, yet everything has. So the space itself hasn't changed. We have as humans. We're more exposed than ever to sensory stimuli, constantly surrounded by noise, light, movement, and information. And because of that, spaces that offer sensory calm and because of that, spaces that offer sensory calm have become even more important. So timeless elements like natural light, organic materials, rhythm and scale still speak deeply to our emotions and well-being. So they bring clarity, warmth, and peace to a space. So it's kind of like all the elements that best promote the brain's need for reflection, rest, and recovery. So these are the things that continue to ground us no matter how much the world around us shifts.
You emphasize the human experience of space. Can you recall a moment when someone's emotional reaction validated your design intention?
Well, there have been many kind words over the years, but the moments that truly stay with me are when someone's emotional response aligns with what I hoped the space would evoke. So there are a few moments that have really stayed with me. One example is an extension I designed for an apartment originally created in the 1950s by the legendary Ilmari Tapiovaara. And after seeing the finished result, the client said, it feels like the extension would have been always here. So kind of that one sentence meant everything. It told me that the new part had found the harmony with the existing one. And another moment was at the opening of this Kyrö Distillery sauna bar. And this well-known guest walked in and to the bar and immediately said, wow, this really is a sauna. So that spontaneous reaction captured exactly what I was aiming for. So the authenticity, atmosphere, and emotional connection.
Nice, nice. Do you believe a space can influence human behavior, even consciousness? And if so, how deliberately do you design for that?
Absolutely. I do believe that space can influence human behavior and even consciousness. And yes, this is something I consider very deliberately in my design process. The goal is to help people intuitively understand how to behave and feel in a space. Not through instruction, but through atmosphere. For example, if we want someone to slow down, to be present, to truly feel the moment, they need a space that gently removes all the unnecessary distractions. A space that sharpens their natural senses and allows the mind to settle. So designing for emotion means creating environments that support human intuition. It's about crafting spaces that speak to us without words, spaces that guide us toward calm, focus, and connection simply by how they feel.
Finally, if you could design a space that captured the universal human emotion, what would it be and how would it feel to step inside it?
Especially with everything happening in the world right now, I would choose the feeling of safety. Safety is serenity, both in space and in the mind. It's peace, warmth, and quiet sense of belonging. So stepping inside that space would feel like coming home to a place that's been lovingly prepared for you, like walking into a room that's been tidied just for you with fresh sheets waiting on the bed. It's soft light, gentle textures, and the kind of silence that doesn't feel empty, but full of presence. So that's the kind of emotion I want my spaces to hold, not just to be seen, but to be felt.
That was a fascinating exploration how design can move us beyond the visual into the deeply human. Thank you for joining me today, and thank you to our listeners for tuning into the Social Hotelier. If today's conversation inspired you, share it with someone who loves spaces that tell a story. So thank you very much, Maiju, for joining me today.
Thank you, Sam-Erik.